Hello, everybody. Welcome to this evening's edition of Norland Unwrapped. We're going to give it a few minutes and make sure everybody can get on. I can see the numbers going up, which is really good. So we'll just wait for a few more moments and make sure everybody can get in safely. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hello.
Yeah, the numbers are going up, which is really good. Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming this evening and joining us for a really fantastic session. So we're really looking forward to this. And numbers will carry on as we go through the session as well. Well, I'm going to kind of make a start on it because we've got a lot to get through. Just a couple more seconds and we'll let everybody get in. And I'm going to go for it, I think. I've been told I can go for it, so I'm going to. Right, okay, so welcome to Norland Unwrapped. This is it's lovely to have you. Thank you so much. I'm really pleased and delighted that you can join us. It's going to be a fantastic session. So we're really, really pleased that you're going to be taking part. So I'm going to obviously start the process off, and as normal, as we do with every Unwrapped session, is we go through some housekeeping. So just to let you know that this session is going to be recorded. It will be available afterwards as well as with all the rest of our sessions. So you can access, if you need to nip off and do something else, you'll be able to access the recording afterwards. So your camera is off, so we cannot see you, and your microphone is automatically muted, so we can't hear you either. This is actually our 10th Unwrapped session, which is fantastic. They've been so popular, and we're so pleased that you can join us this evening. If you haven't joined us before, you are very welcome. You'll get used to my voice if you join us for other occasions. And if you have joined us before, so lovely to have you back if you're one of our regular listeners. So thank you so much. We're not going to have a Q&A at the end. There's lots to get through this evening, so this is very much an interactive opportunity, and then obviously we'll talk about opportunities where you can ask questions, which will be on our virtual open day. So just to let you know, we won't need your Q&A questions at the end. If you want to find out more about our Norland Unwrapped sessions, they're all recorded, they're all on YouTube, and they're all on our website as well. So do have a look at that. And it's got all the different aspects of Norland that we've covered so far. And I'll talk about the rest of the sessions that we've got planned in for the next academic year at the end of the session. So as I said, please do have a look online. It's lovely that you're joining us this evening. And I'm going to hand over to Dr. Janet Rose, who has very kindly given up her time and is going to take us through the new session. So thank you so much, Janet. And I hope you really enjoy this session, everybody. And I'll see you at the end as normal. Thanks very much.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks so much, Kate. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. As Kate said, I'm Janet, and I'm the principal of Norland College, and I'm also a co-founder of Emotion Coaching UK. And I mention that because I'm going to be briefly talking to you about that. So I'm going to launch straight in because this is meant to be a taster session to get a little glimpse into just a little bit of the learning that you might be encountering if you decide to come and study at Norland. And I'm delighted to be joined by Hannah Dray, who is there in the other box. There she is. And Hannah is very kindly joined us, and she's now working. She's a qualified Norland nanny, and she's now a deputy manager. She's a real high flyer, is Hannah, because she's already become a deputy manager of a nursery at one of the private schools in Bath. So she's doing really well to sort of have got promoted so quickly. So Hannah chose to go down the nursery route rather than staying in nannying, but she of course has done nannying. But she's going to sort of talk a little bit about how she uses emotion coaching in her practice after I've given a little bit of sort of input about it. So yeah, so I'm going to just tap into a little bit of some of the neuroscience that you would be studying here. It's not a neuroscience degree, and so don't be put off by that or excited by that, whichever way that goes for you. What we do though, however, is draw on some of the latest cutting edge research into brain development, and we translate that into practical ideas and ways of supporting young children, and we do it in a very accessible way. So you don't have to have, studied science or anything like that. Yeah, but at least that the kind of knowledge and understanding that you'll be acquiring at Norland, you'll know that it really has come from the sort of latest research on what we understand about children's development. So let me crack on then. So I'm going to start by just asking you to, oh no, first of all, I have to show off. Sorry, I forgot I have to show off first. So, this is just to show off to you all, because we were recently awarded a gold award in the Teaching Excellence Framework. So you may or may not know that the regulator for higher education in the whole of England is called the Office for Students, and they're a bit like Ofsted, yeah, like you have in schools with Ofsted, and they basically inspect and monitor quality and standards in at universities, and Norland is the equivalent of a university. It's not called Norland University yet, but it will be. But we have degree awarding powers, so we can award our own degrees. And all universities have to submit to the Office for Students and the Teaching Excellence Panel, and sort of provide statistics and self-evaluation and various bits of information about the course. And you have to demonstrate that you meet certain standards and thresholds. And the hardest one to get and the highest achievement is gold. And we got it, yay! So this is the third time we've received it, and we got it across the board. So what that means for you is that you know that Norland College, if you were to come and study here, is one of the top 10% nationally in terms of quality provision. So that's really reassuring, and that's not us saying that. That's the government and the regulator saying we are one of the top providers. So that's very exciting. So here ended the showing off. Okay, so here comes the taster. Right. So I wanted to just cast your mind back, if you don't mind, if I can mention the C word, COVID, to the queuing. Do you remember all that queuing for the supermarkets? I'm sure you may have experienced that with your family and so on. So I wanted to imagine very briefly for me, and this is just imagining it in your head. You've just queued for 2 hours, okay? And you finally get to the till and someone has pushed in front of you. And I want you to think about how that would make you feel. Would you feel irritated, annoyed? You could put it in the chat if you feel like it. Don't feel you have to, though. It's entirely up to you. How would you feel if someone pushed in front of you? Most people would feel irritated, cross, furious, depending on how stressful their day has been in the first place. But you wouldn't like it, would you, that they just pushed in? And then I want you to imagine you've suddenly noticed that they're a key person. One of the people who, or perhaps a nurse or a doctor in their scrubs, or someone who has been helping to support and help people who've been unwell with COVID and so on. And of course they got privileged access, didn't they? They were allowed to jump the queue. So hopefully when you realize that, you've suddenly got to calm down and resist the temptation to start yelling at this person for pushing in, and do that very, very quickly. And what this means is that you have to self-regulate. So you have to regulate your feelings, regulate your temper, regulate your irritation, your anger, your fury, and instead start clapping them, and go, yay, well done. Thank you for your help. Thank you for what you're doing, and so on. And so this ability to regulate ourselves, to regulate our emotions, to regulate ourselves through stressful situations, is called self-regulation. And here's a little slide here that just talks a little bit about what self-regulation is. And you'll see it's quite a holistic, quite a sort of generic idea, and it sums it up there. Basically, it's your ability to adapt your physical, emotional, and mental state. So what you're doing, what you're feeling, and what you're thinking. so that you can get on with what needs to happen. So in this case, to calm yourself down so that you know, can clap this key person for the lovely work that they're doing to help support everybody. In the example of queuing and having someone push in and so on. This is one of the theorists that you might learn about if you came and studied here. His name's Stuart Shanker, and he's done a lot of work on self-regulation, and he views it basically as a way of managing your stress, being able to manage the stress of life and being able to cope with that, regulate your feelings, regulate your thinking, to help you to be resilient, to manage, you know, your studies, for example, to manage your relationships. You know, if you come to Norland and you move in and share a house with other students, and maybe you get irritated because, you know, they don't clear up after themselves and so on. So it's about managing all that sort of thing and so on. And what we do at Norland is we start to look a little bit into how we develop self-regulation. And I'm just going to sort of touch a little bit on that by sharing with you a very interesting and helpful, but very simple metaphor for how we develop self-regulation. And this metaphor is, it's called the hand model of the brain, okay? And it kind of, if you like, illustrates what happens when we get stressed and what needs to happen to help us to de-stress and regulate our thinking, our feelings, our behavior, so we don't start, you know, pushing the key person out of the way and shout at them or get really annoyed, and instead we manage our feelings and our thinking. And of course, this is particularly relevant when we're talking about young children. And if you were to come to Norland, we would hope that's because you want to work with children, particularly young children, and they need a lot of help, don't they? Those little toddlers with their little tantrums and whatnot. So they need help, don't they, to regulate themselves. And we've drawn on this latest research that helps us to understand the most effective ways to help children to learn to self-regulate, so that they can learn to cope with life's frustrations and so forth. So, so if you all are watching, you can all put your hand up, because we're all going to sort of imagine that this is our brain, that our hand is our brain. And I'm going to sort of flag up some parts of our brain that helped us to understand what happens when someone pushes in the queue, and what happens to us when we get irritated or cross or fed up about that. So this part of the brain of your hand, if you just grab that bit of your hand, that is what this metaphor developed by a chap called Dan Siegel. He's another one of the theorists that you might learn about. He calls this part of our brain, our hand, the downstairs brain. So it's representing the parts of our brain where our emotions sort of develop, where we try and regulate our stress. It's also the part of the brain that's responsible for breathing and eating and sleeping. And this part of our brain, it's got made up of lots of different bits and pieces. It's responsible for that fight, flight, freeze type response. Have you heard about that? Have you heard of fight, flight, freeze responses? So this part of our brain is basically our survival brain. Okay, it's on duty 24/7. It never stops being on duty. And it's always looking for the bad stuff. And in fact, they say that our brain has what's been called a negative bias. What does that mean? It means it's looking for bad stuff. It's always checking. Is it safe? Is it okay? Is everything all right? So that's your downstairs brain. And I want you to wrap your fingers around the downstairs brain. There we go. Fold it over, covering your downstairs brain. So this part of your hand, and particularly your fingers, that's your upstairs brain, as Dan Siegel calls it. And this is your thinking brain. This is your rational brain. This is your brain where you've got language, maths. This is the brain you need for those, you know, A-levels or BTEC or cash or whatever, your baccalaureate. This is the brain you want working. But of course, as exams start approaching, what happens to you? You start to feel stress and you start to flip, just like you might have flipped your brain, as it were, in that queue, that COVID queue, when that silly person pushed in. So this idea of flipping, as it were, is when stress gets too much for us, the downstairs brain goes into that survival mode, and we find it harder to regulate our behavior, our thinking, our feelings, and so on. And what we need to do, basically, especially when we notice that the person in the queue is a key person, or especially because we've got that exam coming up, we need to get that lid back on and get ourselves regulated, get ourselves feeling calm, get ourselves feeling okay again, so that the upstairs brain, the thinking brain, can really get to work, instead of the downstairs brain being in survival mode. So we call the upstairs brain the thriving brain. That's the brain that's okay, that's managing its stress, managing to cope with what's ahead, managing to plan for those exams, managing to think and concentrate and not get distracted so you can study and so on. Or in the case of the COVID queue, can suddenly realize, oh, got to get the lid back on. It's a key person. I need to thank them. I need to regulate my feelings and behave appropriately, and so on. Hope this is making sense so far. Yeah. Okay. I can't see the chat, but I'm hopefully all is well on the chat with that. So let's plow on. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and kind of have some understanding of this flipped brain and putting the lid back on, and what goes on with a young baby when their brain flips, and so on. And what we're going to do is we're going to watch some of the research that's been done, not directly linked to this, but kind of that helps to illustrate it. And this comes from a chap called Ed Tronick, and he developed something called the still face experiment. Okay, which is a little bit unethical, because we deliberately put this lovely baby here that you can see on the left, who's happily engaging with its carer, its parent, and they're talking and chatting together. And then what we do is we ask the mother or the carer to turn back and look at the baby with a still face. So no engagement, no interaction. And I want you to look to see what happens with the baby. And I want you to see, what does the baby try and do to try and cope with the fact that it's got this disconnection with its mother or its carer. Okay, look at the behaviors, look at the facial expression of the baby. What are the feelings that are going on here? What does it try and do to help cope? And it'll be really obvious when you look at the clip what it's trying to do. And then you'll see that all these little strategies that it tries to do to self-regulate itself, to restore order, to get the connection back, to get mum playing with them again, don't work. And you'll see the baby then gets more and more down in the downstairs brain, more and more gets into that fighty flighty sort of mode, and kind of gives up, you'll see. So it's a little bit distressing to watch, but let's have a look. So I'm going to stop sharing at the moment, because it's much easier for us to play the clip if I come out of sharing and go back in again and share the clip separately, because the Wi-Fi works much better that way, we've discovered, and so on. So normally we would build these sorts of things into our PowerPoint, but on this occasion, we're going to come out of the PowerPoint. Here we go. So have a look at the clip. There's a chap talking. That's the researcher who developed this so-called experiment. So remember what you're looking for. You're looking for, what does the baby do to try and cope with the fact that the mother's no longer playing and interacting? What little behaviors, strategies to regulate the situation has it come up with? And then you'll see that doesn't work, and the baby goes down, 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 down into the downstairs brain, gets more dysregulated, more distressed, and kind of gives up. So have a look at this.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age.
I'm my good girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it. They actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh,
Oh, hurrah, relief. Are you feeling the stress of that? So I've just realized we don't have a chat box, do we? We've got the Q&A, haven't we? So I realized. So let's talk through some of those strategies. As you probably heard with the narrative from Ed, he was kind of illustrating some of those things as they were happening. So if you probably will have noticed that in the when the baby was trying to connect back with the mother, try and get the mother's attention, trying to get the mother to respond, she was using some nice, positive, pro-social, appropriate behaviors, regulated behaviors, where she says, "Oh, something's wrong. What's going on here? Let me try this. Let me try smiling at mum. Let me try pointing. Let me try talking to mum. Let me try reaching out to mum." These are all the things that usually work to help in the social kind of interaction and the behaviors between people that the baby is all beginning to learn and so on. So you could see she's already got some nice self-regulatory behaviors there. She's trying to cope and manage the situation by using some positive ways of behaving to cope with the stress of the mother not engaging. And as you probably noticed, didn't really work, did it? So she starts to deteriorate, and you can see her starting to sort of almost move into the downstairs brain, getting more into that kind of, sort of survival mode. She's trying to get away. Of course, babies can't run away, but it's a bit of a flighty response. She tries to move away. She tries to make her sort of get an attention in a more negative way by squealing. And then you really see that she's starting to sort of really get dysregulated, really kind of starting to get really upset, and starts crying more and almost can't, even keep control of her body. And she's now moving into the downstairs brain where she's flipping her lid and so on. And then thankfully, mother reconnects and, baby can recover from the stress of that and so on. So, yeah. So I hope you're starting to get a little bit of a sense of what self-regulation is, what babies start to learn to do to help cope with situations. But as you can see, that baby's still very young, still learning, can't cope for long with it, hasn't come up with some really good, well-learned strategies that they've developed over time as they've grown up and been supported to try and cope with the stress of when something goes wrong and so on. So what we're going to do now is basically talk to you a little bit about a particular strategy that will help you in work with children to put the lid back on for them, to help them to start a journey of putting that lid back on. And it's something called emotion coaching. So this is an evidence-based practical strategy. I'm just sharing with you again, which just trying to move things around on the screen so that I can get to it. There we are. That's what I need. So there we go. Hang on. Just get to that slide. So this strategy, which is called emotion coaching, is kind of what it says on the box. It's about helping and supporting, coaching children to help regulate their emotions. So, of course, emotions manifest as in a stress response, do they not? In a way, your emotions are your stress. And so on. Apart from joy, that's a joyful stress. That's an upregulated, happy moment. But most of the rest of our emotions, sadness, fear, anger, they're all more kind of, so-called negative emotions and so on. And what's great about emotion coaching is it's a particularly useful strategy to support children who are having difficulties, behavioral difficulties, who are feeling anxious, children who are feeling upset about something, feeling sad about something. Perhaps they're sad about having to go to school for the first time. They're feeling scared about that kind of thing. Or perhaps they're cross because their ice cream's fallen on the floor. And, for them, that's the end of the world, even though it's not. To them, they're still having that stress response, that downstairs brain response, because something's gone wrong in their life and they're not happy about it. And I think we'd all feel unhappy if our ice cream that we just bought fell on the floor. So it's perfectly understandable, but hopefully we don't start having a tantrum about it. We're able to regulate our disappointment and frustration and annoyance about that. And that's what we're trying to teach young children over time to do that. And emotion coaching can help do that. And the great thing about emotion coaching is that it looks beneath the behavior, it looks underneath the iceberg of the behavior, and really tries to understand what's actually going on here. What are they feeling? What's making them upset? And what can we do to help support them to cope and to put that lid back on? So this is what emotion coaching is. It's nothing very complicated. Just trying to get to the next slide. There we go. It's nothing terribly complicated. It's basically a way of communicating with children. It's a particular way of communicating. And what it does is it, first of all, recognizes that the distressed child, whatever the cause, fallen ice cream, starting school, upset because as a nanny, you're looking after the child and the parents are going out or going off to work and the child's upset about that. Or perhaps they don't want to share a toy. Could be 101 different reasons. What you do when you're an emotion coach is you recognize that there is distress there. It might be that you've got to teach them about appropriate behavior, but in that moment right then, what you need to do, first of all, is help them put the lid back on. You need to help them to start to practice putting the lid back on. And you do that by helping them to feel calm. And the way you help them to feel calm is you empathize with how they're feeling. Their behavior might not be okay, but the feeling is normal and natural and okay. So you'd be empathizing with their anger, their sadness, their fear, whatever the emotion may be, and you validate it for them. It's okay to be upset that the ice cream's fallen on the floor. I understand you're feeling annoyed about that. I'd feel like that too. But it's not okay to stamp your feet and kick me. So you're kind of still bringing in the limit setting. Because you're not being safe, we have to go now. We can't get another ice cream. And then they start crying again. And you have to say, I know you're really upset now because we're leaving the park and you haven't got an ice cream, but we have to have, we have to behave in a nice way. And we need to, we use safe feet, not kicking feet. And so it goes on. So, and then what you might do when the child's calmer and feel it, and all that empathy and validation will help to calm them, even when they can't get what they want, especially if they have more and more practice. Because what the research has shown is that when we're empathized with, when we're validated, it helps to soothe us. And you'll learn more if you came to Norland about how that actually works with our brain and our body. So I won't go into that today because we don't want to have something too heavy in the evening. But there's some really interesting research that is helping us to understand why feeling validated, having someone empathizing with how we're feeling, actually helps us to calm down and helps us to put the lid back on, and so on, even when that means we can't get what we want. So whilst you might not be giving them what they want, another ice cream, staying at the park, or whatever it might be, or mum staying at home and not going to work, or whatever the circumstances are, or they have to go to school even if they don't want to, that kind of thing, you're still giving them what they need. And what they need is to feel empathized with, validated, and so on. And you're also at the same building something called their emotional literacy. What's that? Emotional literacy is basically it's the same as emotional intelligence. Okay, so it's ability for us to label and understand our own feelings. So you're raising that awareness in that child of feelings, helping them to label them, helping them to understand this frustrated feeling is frustration or irritation or anger. And that's what that does. What the research is showing is that it's giving a name and helping them to make sense of what's happening. Because that's what language does, doesn't it? It helps us to make sense of what things are and so on. So it's kind of helping their emotional literacy, just like you learn to read and write and so on. This helps helping them to read and write, if you like, or understand their emotions and so on. And then maybe when they're feeling calm, you might be saying, do you know what? I know you felt really cross about that ice cream falling on the floor, but you have to have safe feet. So what can we do that will help you next time to have safe feet and to and so on? And then you would maybe in an age appropriate way start to think about what they could do next time they feel like this. And then you could talk about little strategies. At Norland, we like to talk about having calming corners or a calming bag, things that will help soothe and calm them instead of letting them lash out or hit or scream or kick and so on. And we don't have the naughty step at Norland. We have the calming corner because the research is really showing that this is what helps us to learn to put the lid back on, so that when we're a grown up and someone pushes in the queue, we don't start kicking them or lashing out at them and so on. And some people get worried because they think, oh, you're letting them get away with bad behavior and how are they going to learn to behave and things like that. But actually what we've found is that even the most challenging of behaviors, with time and with practice, these children do start to learn to self-regulate effectively and so on. So that's a kind of a visual for you of emotion coaching and so on. So something goes wrong, something happens, you start that, you tune in, you start to do that validation, you do that empathy, you look hungry, I understand you're feeling like that. Then maybe you'll say, that's not okay, we have safe hands in the house, or that behavior is not okay, whatever it is you might need to say. If they're doing something inappropriate, there might not be, so you might not need to do anything about that. And then when they're feeling calm, you start to explore, obviously the younger the child, the more you'll support them. And then you say, what did it make you feel? What do you think happened there? What could we do instead? Why don't you do this next time? Or next time when something sad or frustrating happens, let's do this together instead. And then you start them on that journey of self-regulation and so on. So hopefully you started to get a little bit of a glimpse of what emotion coaching is. So you can start to get a sense that basically what it involves is when you're feeling sad, frustrated, angry, upset, and this is true for you too. This is for you, you know, in your own lives. What you most need, what your body needs, what your brain most needs is someone to say, you're not alone and I understand how you're feeling. You want someone to recognize what's going on and then to help translate for you perhaps what might be happening. Particularly, we need to do that for our younger children who are finding it difficult to understand what's going on. They're just, you know, at the mercy of their feelings and so on. And then you also might need to be able to, in an appropriate way, be putting limits or setting expectations of appropriate behaviour. We can't always get what we want, but you're giving them a message of hope. We can do something about it. You might not have to, you might still have to go to school. You might not be able to get another ice cream. You might have to leave the park, but you can still feel connected with someone and have someone to help you calm and so on. So I see there's a question there from Sophie, which I am going to quickly answer because I think I've got just another minute or so to be able to do that. So actually, interestingly, not Sophie. So we're not saying that they shouldn't feel what they're feeling. One of the great things about emotion coaching is it validates what they're feeling. So you're saying to the child, it's okay to feel angry. It's normal to feel upset. So you're normalizing and validating that feeling. So it's almost like that feeling is being heard. It's being noticed. It's being acknowledged. It's being empathized with. What this does is this sends a message to the brain and the body to say, it's okay, something's there. And, you know, I won't, there isn't time today, but come to Norland and we'll explain more about the research to help explain that process and give you more understanding of that and so on. So we're not trying to stop the child from feeling. What we're trying to do is to help them to learn and understand their feelings so that they can learn to regulate them and so on. Does that make sense? Sometimes when you start there, and in fact, I'm going to play one last clip. I think I've got just a couple of minutes left, if I've got the timing right, to just very briefly watch one last clip where you'll see emotion coaching in action, if that's okay. So I'm just going to stop share. Is that all right with you, Hannah? Am I still all right with time? Great. Okay. So basically, what we're going to see now, in fact, actually, I need to still share the PowerPoint. Sorry, apologies. Let me just get this back. If I share the PowerPoint again before I share the clip, and it seems to have got into a bad mood because it doesn't seem to want to let me share. Not quite sure why. So let me go back. It stopped letting me share, Kate. So I'm not quite sure why. So let me just share. I tell you what, let me just share the video. Nope, it stopped letting me share. I'm not quite sure why.
Okay, not sure. Hold on one second. I'm not the IT person, so let's have a look at this.
Can you try again, Janet?
Yeah, can you try again?
Yeah, I am, but it's still got in a bad mood for some reason, which is very strange because I do Zoom presentations millions of times. But yes, I seem to have lost the power to share. So not to worry then. So basically, there's a lovely clip in a film called Inside Out, which has a really good example. I don't know if you've seen the movie called Inside Out, but there's a really lovely example in there of the character in the film being emotion coached. And what happens in there is that there's a character that's feeling upset and someone comes along and tries to sort of jolly them out of it or reason them out of it or distract them out of it. But that doesn't really help. And then someone starts to emotion coach them, starts to acknowledge and validate how they're feeling, empathizes with them, helps them to feel calm, helps them to feel listened to, helps them to feel heard. And initially that makes them a little bit more upset, but they stay with them, they stay in that calming in that moment, and then that helps them to calm and they're ready to go and ready to roll. So hopefully that's helped to explain and helps you to understand and so on. So I think someone's also asked a question here, but I'm conscious that I need to hand over to Hannah.
Sorry to interrupt. I will sort the presentation out and I'll share it. If you just chat amongst yourselves and continue, I will get the presentation up for you.
Brilliant. So I'm going to hand over to Hannah at this point. Hopefully that's given you a little glimpse, and she's just going to take up the reins now.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm Hannah. I graduated from Norland 2 years ago. And as Janet very kindly said, I have nannied. I did my NQN year, and then I decided to transition into nursery leadership. So I'm now, as Janet said, deputy manager of an early years school in Bath. And I just thought I would share some examples of how I use emotion coaching every day in my work. It has very much framed my practice from day one of nannying, and still does every day now in nursery leadership. Currently, the school I am with, we welcome children from 9 months old. So we start emotion coaching from day one in our baby room. We do this by ensuring our nursery environments are comfortable, safe and secure, with both our environment and our teachers. Yeah, you'll see a few pictures there from my time at Norland. I feel like I'm really old now. I graduated 2 years ago, but these are some lovely pictures. If we could just skip to the next one.
I've managed to start sharing again, Tilly. I don't know what happened there, but it's good again. Right, there you go.
Thank you.
Amazing. So we, as I said, we use emotion coaching every day at nursery. Every day, no matter how amazing, I've been a bit biased, our nursery is, we always have one child, who is sad to leave their mum or their dad at drop off. It would be so easy for us to say, don't worry, you'll be fine. But actually that child is crying, that child is showing us an emotion, and that is their behavior. They are trying to tell us something. And what our job is to listen into that cry and think, what is that child trying to tell us? What can we get from that emotion? What can we verbally unpick? That, majority of our children are nonverbal. What can we get from that for them? So we need for that child to know that we understand. So it's about dwelling into that. It's about validating each and every emotion, guiding and supporting that child, validating that we know they feel sad. We need to help them understand. So yeah, emotion coaching is all about understanding things from the child's perspective. This great example, this happened to me quite a few years ago, but changed the name. This is a little child who was 2. He kept crying at lunchtime at nursery. Mum had just had a new baby. So one of our practitioners kind of, related that probably he's unsettled because of the new baby coming in. But we actually looked at it further, and we thought, as early as educators, we have a responsibility to tune in and understand his emotions. Yes, there is a new baby on the scene, but there is something else going on here, and it is our role to unpick that and to tune into those emotions and to show Bobby that we understood what he was feeling. So every lunchtime he was crying, really, lunchtime was a very negative experience for him. So we dwelled into this, we spoke to him, we tried many strategies. We offered up whether he would like to help set up for lunch, or whether, he would actually like to carry on playing with his friends and someone else set up lunch. He actually massively engaged in setting up lunch for himself and all his friends, choosing where he sat, choosing how much food he had on his plate, pouring his own water, clearing up after himself. And actually then in discussions with Mum, we realized meal times at home had become quite stressed, quite rushed. Mum, often, as all mums would, if threw the food on the table and was like attending to the baby. And actually what had happened was Bobby was associating every single meal time with it being stressed, with it being rushed, with it, all the autonomy and independence from that mealtime was taken away from him. And actually once we realized that, once, he was nonverbal, so it was our role to unpick that, we were actually then able to delve in and say, actually, that mealtime actually for him, all he needed was for someone to realize that his autonomy and independence had been taken away, and actually putting that back in, we unpicked exactly what was making that negative for him and made it positive again. So that was a case of emotion coaching. If we can just skip to the next slide. So in early years, as you may well have come across, there's always a large range of behavioural difficulties and varying needs. When faced with difficult situations, it's our role to offer ways to work through this. It's important that the children feel our empathy, that they know that we understand, and that they trust us to be able to help them to self-regulate those emotions. The biggest thing I think is that negative behaviours are prime opportunities for coaching and learning. Turning that negative into a positive and arming children with the skills to be able to process it better next time. I firmly believe that when children have that emotion coaching, in time, they have fewer emotional and behavioural problems as a consequence of emotion coaching. They have less emotional outbursts in the long run because they know how to process their feelings. They know how to work through those situations, but they also know how to ask for help, and they know who to trust and who to help them prevent them from going to that far end of losing all control because they've helped get those stages in process. If we could skip to the next one. So I thought it would be helpful from someone who's gone through all of Norland, had an amazing time, has come out the other end. I've nannied and I'm now in early leadership. I thought it'd be great to give some top tips. I'd say my biggest one is just to talk about feelings a lot. So making feelings and emotions a focus of conversations at meal times, during the day, ensuring children know that it's normal. It's normal to feel angry. It's normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel happy. It's normal to feel all different emotions, but also ensuring that children know that they can trust you and that they feel comfortable to express themselves to you, or if you're in a nursery, to other staff around you. If you're in a family setting, that you as a nanny, you're able to then support parents to be that emotion coach for them. So that child has more than one person that they feel able to express themselves to. And never forgetting that you are the role model. Those children, they'll learn from you. So the more that you talk about emotions, the more the children will feel comfortable to talk about emotions. And so never be afraid to tell a child how you're feeling and explain why you're feeling that way. I think the more we can normalize emotions for children, the more that they will feel comfortable to talk to us about them. The idea is never to tell children how they should feel, but rather to acknowledge their emotions as normal. They are normal, they're human reactions to sometimes quite triggering situations, and they should never be ignored. They should always be acknowledged. One of the hardest things, I think, is, emotion coaching when a child is having a tantrum. It is hard. It's really hard when you haven't quite hit that first, you haven't quite been able to get in before you'd lost control. You do need to allow them time to express that initial anger, that outburst. But then once they've calmed down, giving them that time, being there for them, giving them, you're listening to them, you're ready to talk about how they're feeling. The key is if you're able to get it before. So if your child is looking that little bit frustrated, that little bit worried, it can be so easy to be like, oh, they're only a little bit, they'll probably be all right. We can probably push this one. Actually, that is your prime time to check in with them and say, I've noticed a change. I've noticed you're looking a bit angry, a little bit worried, a bit frustrated, and talk them through that and help them to process that before it reaches that, as Janet was saying, that lid off, before you're into that difficult place. And I would say, again, remaining calm, having realistic expectations for their age and stage. I work predominantly in the 0 to 5s, and every age and stage within that 0 to 5 is very, very different. And the expectations we have for PSED for all of those ages and stages do vary. So having those realistic expectations is really key. But relating to your child's experience, what that child has been through previously, where they are emotionally, but also ensuring that your child knows just predominantly that you understand what they are going through, what they're experiencing. You can relate and you can empathize. And yeah, that's, I think, the most important thing to go forward. So yeah, that's kind of a little roundabout of top tips. I really hope that helps.
Oh, I think that really helped to sort of illustrate much, in a really kind of real way, what the kind of key messages that hopefully I put across. And just before we hand back over to Kate, I can now share the clip if people want me to. I think we've got a little bit of time to do that. But also, I think there was another question about tough love. So I would say, no, we're not. Because what we're trying to do is not to sort of toughen a child and try and sort of kind of toughen them into being able to be resilient and cope with life and so on. What we're trying to do is help them to self-regulate. And what the research shows is that validation process, that empathizing process, helps to practice putting the lid back on. And that's what helps us to be able to do it ourselves. And if we don't learn that effectively, we find other ways of coping and so on. And we don't necessarily develop that real kind of inner self capacity to self-regulate. And I think with mental health challenges that, are on the increase, and the pressures of things like social media that we didn't have maybe 20 years ago and so on, I think it's even harder for young people today to cope with what they're having to sort of experience in the world, and they've got all this other stuff going on in the world as well. And so for us, what emotion coaching helps to do is to achieve better mental health and more resilience. People think it's the opposite, but it actually builds resilience. So what do you think, Kate? Shall I just share the clip and just to illustrate?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give it another go. I had to self-regulate myself then when the system went down.
I know exactly.
I was listening attentively and thinking, I'm going to use this because I can actually process this information. So it comes in handy as an adult.
It really does.
Totally agree with it. So yeah,
I was having to frantically self-regulate myself as well. So absolutely. So what you're going to see is this little clip from Inside Out that you might have seen, and there's a little character in there called Bing Bong, and you can see him there. He's an imaginary friend, and what we are is we're inside somebody's brain. Okay, it's a young girl's brain called Riley, and there are two characters at the bottom here. You can see there's Joy, which is representing joy, and sadness, so representing the feeling. In fact, the whole the whole movie is all about feelings and so on. And what's happened is joy and sadness have got lost in the brain, okay? And they've ended up in this place where there's this weird character called Bing Bong, who is the imaginary friend of Riley, the young girl. And she doesn't need him anymore because she's growing older, she's becoming a tween, and so on. And so what's happening is all the memories and games and so on that they used to play together when she was younger are being destroyed. Can you see them being destroyed? So Bing Bong is upset. So have a look and see what Joy does. See if you can notice the strategies she uses to try and sort the situation out. And she wants to sort the situation out because Bing Bong's the only person who knows how to get back to headquarters. So joy and sadness are trying to get back to headquarters, the upstairs part of the brain, but they're stuck with Bing Bong, and he's the only one who can tell them where to go. And Joy tries to sort the problem out. And if you look out, you'll see she uses humor, she uses distraction, she uses logic and reasoning to try and get him to sort himself out. And then sadness comes along and emotion coaches him. So see if you can spot the emotion coaching that sadness does, and notice those steps that I was talking about, or at least some of them. Here we go.
Oh, the stuffed animal Hall of Fame! My rocket! Wait, Riley and I were still using that rocket. It still has some song power left. Who's your friend who likes to play? No, you can't take my rocket to the top. Riley and I are going to the moon. Riley can't be done with me.
Hey, it's gonna be okay. We can fix this. We just need to get back to headquarters. Which way to the train station?
I had a whole trip planned for us.
Hey, who's ticklish, huh? Here comes the tickle monster. Hey, Bing Bong, look at this. Oh, here's a fun game. You point to the train station and we all go there. Won't that be fun? Come on, let's go to the train station.
I'm sorry they took your rocket. They took something that you loved. It's gone. Forever.
Sadness. Don't make him feel worse.
Sorry.
It's all I had left of Riley.
I bet you and Riley had great adventures.
Oh, they were wonderful. Once we flew back in time. We had breakfast twice that day.
Sadness.
It sounds amazing. I bet Riley liked it.
Oh, she did. We were best friends.
Yeah, it's sad.
I'm okay now. Come on. The train station is this way.
How did you do that?
I don't know. He was sad, so I listened to what...
Hey! There's the...
And off they go. So there you go. A lovely example of emotion coaching and how that helped to calm and soothe him. And then he was ready to grow. Initially made him a bit more upset, but that's okay because he was able to like feel validated and acknowledged and empathize. Now, I am conscious that there's some other questions there, but we do need to crack on if that's all right. So I'm going to hand back over to Kate to finish things off. So let me share.
Let's hope it works.
Yes, it should be any second now. There we go. Voila.
Fantastic. Lovely. I can breathe. Brilliant. Thank you so much. That was an absolutely wonderful session. I've written lots and lots of notes. So that's really good for me. So thank you so much. It was really, really interesting. And I hope everybody out there has also learned and able to take something away from that session as well. So thank you so much to Hannah. Thank you so much to Janet as well. So I'm going to kind of round up really with some exciting things that we're going to be doing in the future. So just to put notes in your diary more than anything else. So we are launching our Winner Weekend competition again in Bath, which is, I think this is our 4th year of launching it actually, which is a really fantastic competition. All the T's and C's are on the website and it's coinciding with our May open day. So it's a full weekend. You have a VIP tour of Norland. We'll pay for your travel. We'll put you up in a lovely boutique hotel because I know I book it. And also we have afternoon tea at the pump rooms as well. And it's a really lovely way to find out more about Norland because obviously you're coming to the open day. Come and visit Bath. And it's a really nice way of obviously entering a competition. And why not give it a go? That's what I say. All the information is on the website. So how you enter, obviously we're looking for responses and to the question that we have below. Like I said, it's all on the website and it could be, you can be as creative as possible. It could be an essay, it could be a little video, a little vlog. Please do have a look at our previous winner. One of our winners, Izzy, has done a fantastic vlog that took us all the way through from the minute she stepped on the train until she left at the end of the weekend. So do have a look at that. We would love to see you enter. It's definitely worth having a go. Do have a look on our website for more information. The closing date is going to be at the end of January. So we do have some very exciting things coming up. If you have kind of come along tonight with your first kind of contact with Norland and thinking, I think I'm going to find out a little bit more, we're going to have our virtual open day session on the 18th of November. That's the next open day as such. So all the information about Norland, we're going to have the Discover Norland presentation. You'll get to hear from Janet again and other members of the team, but also you're going to have 3 of our students are going to be talking about their Norland journeys, etc. So it's a really nice way to find out more about Norland, and that's on the 18th of November, and it's Saturday morning, so you can sit at home in your PJs and have a cup of coffee and join us for the session. And bookings are live for that on our website. Our next physical open day, when we're actually going to be on campus, is in May. It seems a long way away, but it comes around very, very quickly. And that's on the 18th of May, and that's a fantastic opportunity really to come and see us face to face. I always say if you're going to look at higher education and universities, go along to an open day, because you'll absolutely know whether it's the right place for you. And it's a fantastic day. We do look after you. You'll get to meet staff and students. We also get lots of tea and cake and lots of lovely things that they make in the food nutrition block as well. So it's a nice way to find out a little bit more. You can ask all questions that you need to ask, and have a great day with us. So bookings, again, they're live on the website for that. Our next Norland Unwrapped sessions, which are always virtual, are going to be, the next one's going to be all about fees and finance, very important when you're making those decisions. And we're going to have members of the finance team, as well as some students who have got bursaries and funding their own studies, and how they come to Norland and what works for them. So it's a really, really good session. I do recommend joining us. That's on the 21st of February. And we're just confirming the final date for the next student life session, which is going to be, we had one last year, which was lovely. We had 3 lots of students across the 3 years. We had our very first male head of set, which is wonderful. And it's great to hear from students. They're the ones that are doing the course. They're the ones that are living in Bath. And it's a great way to find out some top tips about homesickness and budgeting, and really listen to their journey and why they came to Norland. So I do recommend coming along to that. So information will go out about that when we've confirmed the date. Do, as I said earlier on, do join us. You can look at other events on our website as well. Please sign up to the mailing list, because you'll get to hear about us, and also all the key dates and little sneaky peeks at videos and things like that. So do join us for that as well. I'm going to now kind of say goodbye to Janet and Hannah, to say thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to show you a little video. Now, this is a new video. It's our welcome week video. We're really, really proud of this. So we thought we'd share it with you because it's such a lovely video. So Janet, I'm going to ask you to, again, unshare and see if we can get the video up and about.
Yep.
Fantastic. And then we'll say goodbye to you, and then we can see you hopefully at the next Norland Unwrapped. That would be lovely. Before that, do come along to the virtual open day, because, as I said, it's a nice way to sit at home and find out more about us. So with that, I want to say thanks to Hannah and Janet, and we will see you next time. So hopefully this will work. I've got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to, oh, not that. I'm just trying to get to the, there we go. I'm just getting to the right background. Sorry.
That's okay, no problem at all. As I said, we haven't had time to go through all the questions, so we will try and answer them off site. If not, do have a look at the FAQs, or come along to the virtual open day as well, and they'll be able to answer those questions for you. So thank you, and we'll see you again.
I've loved Welcome Week. I think it's given us so many opportunities to meet different people and do lots of different activities that we won't normally do.
It's been really interesting, and you meet so many new friends. You get an insight of the course and just Norland as a whole, and how it's like built a community.
My first highlight was the first day, coming in my uniform, like wearing it properly for the first time, and seeing all the staff greeting us in the morning. That was a really special moment for me.
Norland put on a lot of activities for us. We got to go to a park and do rock climbing and all these fun activities, where we did a scavenger hunt around this area.
We've done like an open top bus tour around Bath, so we could see all the different places we may visit during our time here.
It's been so easy to settle in the mix, friends. All the staff were lovely, and all the students that I'd not spoke to yet, it was so easy. You could just sit down and talk to them. Everyone really is just a family here, and it's so lovely to see.
It's great to be back speaking to new students. As a fully qualified Norland nanny, not so long ago I was in their shoes, so it's great to share tips and experience ahead of their Norland journey. If I could go back and speak to my welcome week self, I think I'd firstly tell her to just take a deep breath, just calm down and smile, enjoy it, take all the challenges and really embrace the 3 years, because they fly by.
Father's Day has really made me feel special, just because I signed the Black Book, and it's been really emotional for me that I got to be part of the Norland history. Signing the Black Book was one of my dreams.
It felt so special to sign the book. It got me quite emotional, actually, because it's just so amazing to say you're part of the history of Norland, and you really are going to be the best of the best in childcare, and that's something that I'll carry with me forever.
Last week was Welcome Week. Norland really put on a really great week for us to get to know each other, and now we're at Freshers Fair, and it's Norland's first Fresher Fair, so they really put on a really fun day for us.
We had so many different stalls you could join up to, or clubs. You've got like netball, rowing, gyms. You've got sewing clubs, Norland, the Norland Choir. It was really interesting to see all the different things that we could sign up to as a Norland student.
doing different activities has really helped me get settled in, because I don't have to walk in a class where I don't know anyone, because I've already pre-bonded with them. I know who they are, and so I feel like it's really, really helpful. Norland has really been welcoming and extraordinary this whole last 2 weeks, and making sure that us international students are welcomed and all students are welcomed. And it really feels like it's a small place with a very big family, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 years here, and I think I'm going to have the best time of my life.